So everyone, welcome back from lunch. Thank you so much for being here in our final few sessions of SciAccess 2021. So it's really exciting to get to be here with all of you. Next up, we will hear from Sarmistha Talukdar, who will be discussing the art and science of accessibility. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Sarmistha. I am a brown person with wearing glasses and medium shoulder length wavy hair. I am in my room, which is mostly white with some green vines in behind me. And today I'll be talking about my presentation, which is art and science of accessibility. So without further ado, I'll start my presentation. So this is a green, in front of you is a green slide with the text, Art and Science of Accessibility, a multimodal approach to STEM education. And then the name of the presenter, which is me, Dr. Sarmistha Talukdar, and my email address, which is sarmistha.talukdar@gmail.com. So a small introduction to myself. I'm a research instructor working on cancer stem cells. I'm also an audiovisual artist, and I'm neurodivergent and also physically disabled with other chronic illnesses. And in front of you, you'll find two images of me, one in an academic background where I'm holding a certificate, and another is an image of me performing live. So today, the stuff that I'll be going over, just to give a brief overview, I'm talking about statistics of disabled students in STEM education, intersection of race and disability in STEM education, problems in the educational system, art to accessibility, how the multimodal approach can help these problems. Then we'll have a small interactive session, and then we'll end with some questions to take home. So first thing is I'll talk about is the statistics of disabled students in STEM education. So I'll be talking about some statistics. This is not a comprehensive statistical overview, just from some things that I have tried to focus on in this presentation. So some statistics of people who are autistic and other disabilities. So autistic students are more likely than general population to gravitate towards STEM. The STEM major rate is 34.31%, which is higher than students in the general population. However, in spite of this, autistic students are less likely to enroll in a 2-year community college. They had significantly lower rates of enrollment altogether. Disparity is also noticed in students with learning disabilities, speech or language impairment, hearing impairment, visual impairment, orthopedic impairments, or other health impairments. So there are several significant barriers which are causing problems for disabled students to gain access to STEM education. Second, I'll be talking about is the intersection of race and disability in STEM education. So statistically in US, 9% of STEM workers are Black, whereas 69% are white. At higher positions in the industry, Black Americans make up only 2% of full-time professors. Among the people of color, Asians are largely employed in a STEM occupation, followed by individuals who identify as biracial or multiracial. However, positions of critical power are largely white. And 26% of Black STEM majors leave without earning a degree, while only 30% of the STEM majors do the same, demonstrating the lack of support that the racial disparity in STEM is showing up in the statistics. So this is a graph showing the racial disparity of how people are employed in STEM. So if we can maybe see, I will still describe the graph. So on one hand, we have white, and then we have other races, then there are Asian, Latinx, and Black. And if you can see that mostly all STEM jobs, 67% of it are taken up by white folks, whereas Asian folks take up 13%, Latinx folks take up 8%, whereas Black Americans take up 9%. This disparity is seen in all fields of science, such as health-related, life science, math, physical science, computer and engineering. So this disparity is pretty clear, where 60 to 70% of the employment statistics are occupied by white people, whereas the people of color, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, occupy significantly less positions in STEM fields. And this is a graph from Pew Research Center, and it's a compilation of statistical data from 2017 to 2019. So on top of that, we also have problems in our educational system. This is a small picture from a article called "The Educational Tyranny of the Neurotypicals." So our schools in particular have failed neurodivergent students, in part because they've been designed to prepare our children for typical jobs in a mass production based white and blue collar environment created by the Industrial Revolution. Our society traditionally has very less tolerance or compassion towards people lacking social skills or perceived as not normal. And most students struggle to integrate atypical learners, even though it's increasingly clear that interest-driven learning, project-based learning, and undirected learning seem to suit the greater diversity of neural types that we know now exist. And this is, of course, as I already showed earlier, racial disparity affects this even further. So neurodivergent Black and brown students are on the very much of the receiving end, where they get excluded from a good environment for STEM education. So how can we address these problems? So one of the ways these problems can be addressed is by including art or having a multimodal approach towards STEM. So in front of you are two screenshots. One of them is from an article called "The Art of Making Science Accessible and Relevant to All Students," where this article describes how in an island in Hawaii, students are given mats or baskets to weave, and that's how they learn about STEM and biology. And this is how they make the process more interactive for the students. Another clip is from an article called "Making Science Accessible Through Art," where there is a picture of a science PhD student called Sarah Gore demonstrating how indicator fluids can be used to perform experiments. This was done at a project called Soapbox Science. So these are just some ways where people have tried to make science more accessible through art. Why is this important? This is important because STEM education should be expanded to embrace and integrate the disciplines of art in order to facilitate and promote accessibility of STEM learning. This can include various forms of performance art, such as dance, music, and theater. It can include visual arts, it can include musical arts, and it can include other forms of media arts as well. The arts thereby provide a scaffold to help disabled students to gain access to an abstract world of science. And how that happens, I'll talk to you in the further slides. So one of the ways art can be included to make science more accessible is through data visualization. So if the data is visualized in a form that's more accessible, then the data can be interpreted and learned by the people who want to use the data. So few of the things that can be done to make data visualization more accessible is to not rely on color to explain the data, because people are colorblind. Colorblind people will not, it's not helpful for colorblind people. Not using very bright or low contrast images, not hiding important data behind interactions. If there's too much going on in a slide, then if you hide the important data behind those interactions, it's not helpful. If there is too much information in a slide, then it gets overwhelming for the user. It's important to use patterns and shapes in addition to color to distinguish the data from one to another, using labels and legends to clearly indicate what is going on, to translate the data into clear language, providing context to and explaining the visualization so that folks can hear also, who can look over the data or have low vision problems, so they can also hear the data. And focus on accessibility during other interviews or other conferences or any other events. One of the ways data is made accessible to people with low vision or people who are blind is through using tactile modes. One of the organizations that does that, and has often and their work has often been shown in SciAccess as well, is called C3D. There's a screenshot from the website. It's a blue screenshot on the website called C3D. It's a nonprofit organization that manages printing and distribution of 3D printed models for people who are blind. Another way where how science can be made accessible is through performance art. And Dance Your PhD, it's not really made for making art, science more accessible for disabled people. However, the concept can still be applied, where people dance their concepts of their thesis to make it more applicable for public outreach. One of the ways that science can be made accessible is through data sonification. Data sonification is when data is translated into sound values. Numbers or other forms of data are turned into scales of pitches, volumes, or rhythm. I'll now be playing a small audio clip. It is the sonification of the COVID-19 virus genome, and it'll be playing soon. Is it? Yeah, can people hear it?
Yes.
Okay, great, awesome. So what is happening in this audio clip is that the genetic code, or the genetic code which is present in the virus, if you can see, it's like UAA, CUC on the screen. These are getting converted into sound, and so the sound, this causes a change in the sound. Each letter of the genetic code is converted into a sound code. So there you hear it out. You can basically hear the entire genetic code as a sound script. So next, I'll play a small clip where I have converted some climate change data to sound to raise awareness about the climate change happening in the Hindu Kush Mountains in Asia, where the rate of glaciers melting has been converted into sound. And I'll be playing this clip.
The sound here is a little too soft for us to hear.
Oh, okay. No mind. I'll just skip to the next one.
No worries.
Okay. So next, I want to share this video, which is showing how Dr. Wanda Diaz Murcia uses sound for her work. I'm going to stop sharing for a little bit, and then I'll share the.
In that way, detected as a gamma ray burst.
Okay.
Starts during the astronomers' methods. Yet as astronomers.
Okay, let me share the. Okay, now it's fine. So this is Dr. Wanda talking about her work as a blind astronomer using data sonification.
First, we study a wider range of light, and we depend on other methods to do that. On the screen, it may look like this. You're seeing a plot. That is a light curve. It's a plot of intensity of light over time. It is a gamma ray light curve. Sighted astronomers depend on this kind of plot in order to interpret how this light intensity changes over time. On the left, you will be seeing the light intensity without a burst. And on the right, you will be seeing the light intensity with the burst. Early during my career, I could also see this kind of plot. But then I lost my sight. I completely lost my sight because of extended illness. And with it, I lost the opportunity to see this plot and the opportunity to do my physics. It was a very strong transition for me in many ways. And professionally, it left me without a way to do my science. I longed to access and scrutinize this energetic light and figure out the astrophysical cause. I wanted to experience the specious wonder, the excitement, the joy produced by the detection of such a titanic celestial event. I thought long and hard about this when I suddenly realized that all a light curve is a table of numbers converted into a visual plot. So along with my collaborators, we worked really hard and we translated the numbers into sound. I achieved access to the data, and today I'm able to do physics at the level of the best astronomer using sound. And what people have been able to do, mainly visually, for hundreds of years, now I do it using sound.
So we heard Dr. Wanda Diaz-Merced talk about how she uses data sonification to make her work more accessible for doing her scientific research. So next we will, sorry. So next we will have a little interactive session, a very small one. It's similar to what Dr. Wanda Diaz just showed. If folks are able to go to this link, I'll put this in the chat as well. Is it? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, here's the link. If people feel comfortable, you can click on the link and you will find something show up like this, which looks like my screen right now. So folks can maybe click on 3.1, and then here is a option to play. So you can see the like bunch of numbers, which determines the pitch, and then there are a bunch of numbers that determines the duration. And if you hit play, you can hear the sound, the numbers getting converted into sound, and you can change these numbers. You can go to pitch mapping and change these numbers like 57, whatever. And then this can be changed. The duration can also be changed, for example. And then this can be played, converted into sound real time. Did anybody have any problem?
No questions or problems reported so far.
Okay. I will go to maybe the next possibility of converting data to sound interactively, which is there is this website where you can upload a graph and hear it in real time how it sounds. So the link to the website, I'll drop it in the chat as well. So it looks something like this. So here I'm using a random graph, which is like on a white background, and on a scale from 0 to 8, there is a blue line. This is a random graph I have used, and it can be you can use any graph, and it can be converted into sound. So this is, if you want the exact image that I used for this, I can share that as well. So if you download that graph and then go to the website, there is an option to upload the graph. So here you can choose the file. I've used the graph. I've used the graph that I just shared, and then you can just hit play, and you can then hear whatever graph you upload here. So that was just a small example of how it can be done online. Next, I will share my screen. Okay, so I talked about data sonification and maybe some examples. And next, I will end this little presentation with some questions to take home. So the questions I want people to ponder while they leave this presentation is, why do they think access is important for STEM education? Is the STEM education trauma informed? How disabled BRPS students may be supported? How the barriers they face can be supported in STEM education? And if it includes disabled BRPOC in not only in the mass student or mass employment status, but also in positions of power, so that critical changes can be made. So with this, I end my discussion, and thank you. And I'm open for any questions.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. We do have a couple minutes for questions, and I have a few for you here in the chat. First question is from Adrian, who says, are sonifications used to study different COVID-19 variants?
I think that can definitely be done. Absolutely. I don't have personally that information to show how it has been done, but it definitely can be done, because in the end, what the data is doing, what it is doing is basically taking the genetic code and converting into sound. So if there is any mutation and change in the genetic code, that will also result in a changed sound. So those different variants will definitely sound different.
Fantastic. And next question is, can you tell us more about your music projects?
Well, I'll leave a link to my music projects in the chat. My music artist name is Tavishi, and I will leave the link. I wasn't expecting this, but thank you. I appreciate the interest a lot. So, yes, here is the link to my sound projects. There are different sound projects. Not all of them are research-based, but a good amount of them are.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I don't see any other open questions, but if anyone thinks of them, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and Sarmistha, we can ask you to respond there. So thank you so much for joining us today and for coming back for 2021. We really are excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.